All right, Brian from Garage Mahal. Today we are working on my 2016 Nissan Frontier crew cab pickup truck. This is my main work truck that I use around the shop for errands and everything else. So we're actually changing the tires and we're trying out balancing beads. If you haven't used them before, watch that video on that. All right, and we're doing brakes, and if you're wondering what that tool is, I'll show you in a couple seconds. Let's get this tire off. Love those magnetic trays. Alright, so that's one tire down. Alright, I like to kind of shoot everything with little WD-40 before we go. Get too far into it. I like to spray these little, you'll see why in a little bit, but they'll help everything come off. Let's get these back bolts. I believe they are 14 millimeter. I think the other side is 19, but all right. I'm the only one that has trouble with that. Okay. So these are actually a lot looser than I thought they were going to be. Sometimes these spin, you got to put a wrench on them, but I think we're good. All right, that's going to be our brake caliper. Sometimes you got to put a pry bar on it to get it out of the way. We're going to let it sit right there. And I made up a special brake cleaning solution that works really good. I like to spray any dirt and grime off that. Let that soak for a quick second. Next, these brakes are probably overdue. Almost a shame this is on my truck, but okay. Now back behind there is a 19 millimeter. And we got it on this big boy. There's some torque behind it on these things. Okay. Couple more turns and I'll put the electric jobber on that. Alright, let's get this one. Okay. Whew, wasn't so bad. Alright. 19 3/8. That's right here. There is a washer on this, so be careful. And you can tell Milwaukee was not happy about getting that one off. All right, let's do this one. Okay. I said there's a tricky little washer. And this bracket is not coming off too easy. So, handy dandy crowbar. Okay. Good thing we're replacing the rotors too, because man, these are pretty doggone bad. All right. Let's bring that over to the workbench and get that ready. Yeah, they were due. You're gonna love my workbench. It's actually my tire machine. Since I've been working on so many projects lately, that's a little bit of a mess, but anyhow, that's garbage. All right, so the wear mark is going to be on the side that the piston's on. Those suckers are pretty bad. If you're in here, you would hear metal jumping all over the place. Alright, so get rid of these brake slides. Trash day, garage from hall, so we got stuff all over the place. Alright, brass toothbrush to clean these slides up a little bit. And we get on this side. And these do get rusty like crazy. Now, I already put the other set of pads in, and one thing you're gonna see me do, kind of controversial, I guess, I don't know, but I like to grind them down a little bit because they never get the specs quite right. You can tell I'm not taking a lot off, I'm just doing a quick clean on it. So I notice is they are way too tight on new ones. You get in there the right way. So put the new slides in. And always change the slides out. I mean, you saw how corroded those other ones were. I don't know, some guys like to reuse them, and I just don't get it or understand. But, okay. Alright, let's go put this back on. Alright, put this here for a quick second. And I sprayed up WD-40 so I can get these off. And a good time to put some new slide grease on. And be generous when you're putting it on. Because when these suckers seize, they are no fun to get off. However, I got a video on that too if you want to see that. Okay. Is nice. Now what I like doing here is put my air hammer on just because it helps real quick to get it off. So hit here. That's just to loosen up the rust a little bit. And a quick hit in the back here. Get that off. I've seen guys fight those for hours and it just drives me crazy. Anyway, put the new rotor on. Slides right in. I'll get the old dust cover out of this one. That in, and that's actually how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to go in there, and then that gets your brake, e-brake released in the back. But oh, and then this fun part, you're gonna love this thing. Alright, this is my handy dandy brake piston press. Hook it up to your air line. And what you're doing is you're lining it up here, put it in a hole, hit the trigger, watch your fingers, and then watch how it just presses that piston all the way back in. Now you let pressure out, hit it again. Make sure it's all the way pushed in. Release that button, and you're good to go. That was quick and easy. All right. Love that little guy. Anyway. All right, let's put this bracket back on. Right way usually would help. There we go. Sorry, I just clocked you guys really good. All right, so get that screw back in there. The other one down at the bottom. And always hand tighten these to make sure you're not going to cross thread it. Okay. Now that's where I can. We're back on with the Milwaukee. Sure you torque that out. Okay. Okay. It's good. Slides we did. Good deal. Now I like putting a little bit of grease on the tracks. Make sure you wipe the excess off. Okay, put grease on the slides. I'll put the brakes and one with the wear indicator goes on the inside. So we'll mount that first. Kind of put it there, and then it slides. Should slide back in. And it sounds like my lovely wife coming in. So that's not fitting good, so we're going to have to actually grind it a little bit more. All right, but from this side, what we're doing, you're just putting it in. And it should slide right on the tracks and go in pretty good. Sometimes they need a little more persuading. That one's good. You want to make sure that it's loose and it's going to move. This one we're going to take off another hair. Do you need me, Cynthia? What are you looking for? Okay. So there we go. Like I said, make sure it fits loose on there. And then this on the other side, when I was doing it, I had a little bit of trouble actually getting this on here. All right, so you want to make sure that you get that bottom one on first, and then slide that into position like so. I think we're good. All right. Alright, so that takes care of the rear brake. I'll just torque this out. Okay. Torque that to spec. Okay. Yep, we're good to go there. Got some grease on that, so let's spray some brake clean on that. Get that right off. Get some excess grease. Alright, let's move on to the front ones. And we're going to need this and the air hammer. I shut my compressor off, so the front ones, thank you Nissan for actually making the bolts the same on the front and the rear for the brakes. That is so helpful to these guys like me. Alright, so got your 14s down here. Now this is a double piston on here, so this sucker is a little difficult to get out. A couple good wiggles and you'll get it, and you'll see the double piston on there. And I like putting a little hook on this sucker, little brake hanger. Hang it right back there until we're ready. Actually, I like hooking it this way until it falls. And it'll fall again. All right, let's put it right here. A little brake bracket there. We're going to spray it ahead of time, so it gets all the grime off. Let's see if we can get this. There you go, right. Sprays all the grime on the boots. Cuts that off. We'll spray these down with some WD-40. Actually, I like my little compressor can of it. Loosen that up. And we'll spray some on this. So when we pop that off, that's a lot easier. And we'll let that soak before we push that piston in. And then this bottom one is going to be a 19 millimeter. We'll need this big guy to get it out. I always get that confused. Anyway. We're going to have to tack this from the bottom. Get some good torque on this. Oh, that baby's not moving. Alright, let's try to get this one. Okay. Whew, that did not want to go. There we go. That's a little tight. We're going to end up... Let's put our air cat on here. £105 of torque, baby. Okay. So this caliper comes off pretty easy. And then over here, let's get that off. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to put the little air hammer on it. Hit it a couple times. It pops right off. Favorite tool in my arsenal is Ingersoll Rand air hammer. Okay. So put this in the back of the shop. The other ones. Okay, your new rotor goes on. Let's go get these pads on here. That's one box done. Alright, those rotor pads are good. That one came out pretty good. This one. A little persuasion. Alright, then these old guys come out. Handy dandy toothbrush, brass toothbrush. Alright, despite getting the rust off, I've never had these pads go on, or any pads go on, relatively easy. So I just like cleaning them up a little bit on the grinder. I'm sure there's going to be comments galore about that, but... You can also use a regular file to do this. I just like cleaning them up because I've found that they have burrs and everything else on them, and when you're putting it on metal that's been exposed to elements like this, they just get a little rambunctious. Alright. Mount that in there like that. Alright, and I just noticed these have abutment springs to them, which is really cool. Now I'll show you what those are. Alright, so our bracket ready to put back on. good. All right, I'll put this on this side. And always make sure you hand tighten these bolts, because you definitely want them going as straight as possible before you put any type of wrench, air wrench, or ratchet, or whatever you're going to put on there. Okay. All right, let's tighten that down. 17. Okay, good. Okay. Just torque that down. Okay. Okay, that's good. Now, this is a good time to relube these slides up. And be generous. When you put it on there, you definitely don't want these slides locking up on you ever. So, if you ever do, I think I mentioned this on our rear brakes, I have a video on how to get your slide pin out in under 3 minutes. It's actually really good. Alright. So we'll put this back in there. Twist. Fits right on. And like the rears, I like to put a little spot of grease on each one of these things, just to make sure everything works good. I like using a red marine grease. Alright, and like I said, you're gonna have to make sure you clean all the excess off. Alright, so this one goes here in the back first. And these always pop out of their darn tracks. Okay, I think we're good there. Very difficult to film this part. I may have to put this other side in first. This will help line everything up. Okay, that one sits nice and good. Alright, then this bottom one, kind of line up here, there, and they kind of slide in like that. Make sure you got some movement on it. Always got to grind down a little bit more. Like I said, these have abutment springs, which are really cool because they definitely help the overall performance of the brake shoes. And what they are is they go into these little holes here. And it's going to basically help separate the brakes when you let off. See how well they work. You gotta hold them on, and it's tricky because you have to do this one-handed, but you put them in and they're going to help keep your pads nice and springy so they slide really good. And I forgot one little step. I forgot to push the piston back. So this one, I have a manual one, but this one works really good too. Let me get this off. You kind of see. It's also ratcheting action. soon as you start getting it, you'll see how the pistons just really go in so easy. Okay. Back off on that. That tool's done. Alright. One more time, these little abutment springs go in these little holes, and they keep your brakes more fluid. What I mean by that is it creates it's a spring, so it helps your pads come in and out. But the only tricky thing is you have to get your caliper on while those abutment springs are in. Okay. Alright, this goes on like 17. Nice, boom. Work that. Boom, and your brakes are done. All right, next we do the tires.